In this video, I would like to talk about Vaxart and would like to focus more on those who are trading the shares. By the way, if you have bought Vaxart shares or if you're holding the bag after the recent price crash, please comment down below and let's share our experiences. For those who did not follow the company, here is a quick recap. Vaxart is a pharmaceutical startup developing oral vaccines. Because of the pandemic, they also joined the many other companies in the sector to come up with a vaccine. The company recently released their phase 1 results. Based on their news release, the results are actually encouraging and they are undergoing phase 2 tests. For the market, however, it was a different story. It believes that the vaccine is probably a failure because it did not trigger the same antibodies that typical vaccines should activate. The counter-argument to this is that an oral vaccine should not be triggering the same antibodies because it is not administered in the same manner. This should be an important lesson for us all. Basically, a company may be on the right track, but as long as the market believes the opposite, the stock will still get sold off. By the way, the opposite is also true. If Vaxart announced in phase 2 that whatever antibody was triggered, it works well against the virus, then the stock price will shoot back up instantly within a heartbeat. In my case, I missed the initial bullish run and I decided to enter the trade when the stock crashed because my assumption at the time was that when bears have sold the stock to a certain extent, then they will leave. I mean, after all, the phase 2 results will not be due for another few months. In the meantime, the stock will probably trade within a range, and if possible, even going higher, because of the speculative demand for a startup that is currently developing a vaccine in the middle of a global pandemic. The stock currently seems to be able to hold the $6 level, and what I need to see is that the stock can hold that level for at least another few trading days before considering adding in my position. The stock currently seems to be able to hold the $6 level, and what I need to see is that the stock is able to hold that level for at least another few days before considering adding into my position. Recently, Vaxart held an earnings call, and someone asked them if Janssen Pharma is working with them in this vaccine. Their answer is quite vague, saying that Janssen is currently working on their own project in regard to the pandemic. To me, this means that clearly Janssen is not working with them on it. And that should be an additional bad news for the company. However, when I looked at the stock reaction to those recent developments, it seems like the market has already priced in all the bad news. And that to me is positive in by itself. With that being said, I think that what the past 12 months has shown us is that we should always question if the prices are reasonable and follow our own discipline. For example, NEO is 1% of my portfolio, Vaxart is around 0.5%, and Palantir 0.3%. I have always been careful not to buy too much of those startup companies because the risk is often masked by the surrounding hype. Another thing that is important to be said is that the current environment is probably the worst for people who just started trading. I mean, I remember the first time I started to live trade back in 2013. I genuinely had the feeling that the more I trade, the more money I will make. And that ended up costing me my entire account. The current market conditions are probably the most speculative and the most irregular since the past 10 years. Just think about it. As the world economy is shut down, the first thing people think is to buy Tesla stock. I understand that the capital always wants to go to where there are interests, but it doesn't remove the fact that the current market valuation for many stocks is possibly distorted. This is why it is very important to not be carried away by the stocks when they take off, because they can also crash back down. Going forward, my recommendation would be to wait for the support levels to hold in order to consider to get in, and hold it for about 4 to 6 weeks before selling it off. The prerequisite condition is that the stock is able to stop the current downward pressure. If that does not occur, then do not keep adding more money into it. If you already have an important position in Vaxart, do not keep pouring more money into it. Instead, buy a slightly out of money put option, so that if the stock price keeps going down, at least you have another instrument to hedge part of your exposure. Thank you for watching. Please let me know in the comments if you have bought the shares and how you are doing. If you like my content, please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel.